Hold on to your gamepads. We're about to embark on a journey through time and pixels. I'm the classic and retro gamer. Let's go! It's time to travel back to 1991, a year that would change the gaming world forever. The Sega Genesis was new, sleek, and ready to revolutionize home entertainment. 16-bit graphics blew our minds. The colors, the details, everything was a leap forward. And a little game called Streets of Rage was about to punch its way into our hearts. It was more than just a game. It was an experience. This wasn't just another side-scrolling beat-em-up. It was a game that defined a genre. This was a gritty, urban adventure. The music was pumping. The action was intense. We were hooked. The city streets came alive with every punch and kick. Remember blowing into those Genesis cartridges? Worth it. It was all part of the ritual. Streets of Rage let us live out our action hero fantasies. We became the heroes we always dreamed of being. We battled through mean streets, facing off against waves of enemies, took down Mr. X's goons, and saved the city from chaos. Each level was a new challenge, a new thrill. And we did it all with a friend. Two-player co-op? Yes, please. It was the ultimate bonding experience. This game was more than just punching and kicking. It had style, attitude, and a flair that set it apart. And some of the best music on the Genesis. The soundtrack was iconic, unforgettable. It was a masterpiece of the beat-em-up genre. A game that stood the test of time. So, crack open a cold one, crank up the volume, and let the nostalgia wash over you. Get ready for a nostalgic trip. Relive the excitement, the challenges, and the triumphs. We're going back to the streets. The adventure awaits, and it's just as thrilling as you remember. Who were the masterminds behind Streets of Rage? Let me tell you, Sega AM7. These guys were the rock stars of beat-em-ups. They created Golden Axe. They unleashed Altered Beast. These games were revolutionary for their time, setting the stage for what was to come. And with Streets of Rage, they outdid themselves. This game wasn't just another beat-em-up. It was a cultural phenomenon that captivated gamers worldwide. Leading the charge was Noriyoshi Ohba. This guy was the director and a true visionary. Ohba had a unique vision for the game, wanting to create something that was not only fun to play, but also visually and thematically compelling. He wanted to create a game that was both cool and exciting. He aimed to push the boundaries of what a beat-em-up could be. He wanted it to have a gritty realism that set it apart from other beat-em-ups. The urban environments were meticulously designed to reflect the chaotic streets of a city in turmoil. Then you had Yuzo Koshiro on the music. This guy is a legend. Koshiro's music wasn't just background noise. It was an integral part of the game's identity. He created a soundtrack that was pure magic. His compositions were so memorable that they became synonymous with the game itself. It was so good, it transcended the game itself. The music was released on vinyl and became a hit among electronic music fans. We're talking about music that could stand on its own. It was a perfect blend of catchy melodies and driving beats. It was the perfect blend of electronic beats and urban vibes. This unique soundscape added an extra layer of immersion to the game. It set the tone for the entire game. The music made every punch, kick, and combo feel more impactful. And let's not forget the artists and programmers. These talented individuals worked tirelessly behind the scenes. They brought Ohba's vision to life. Every pixel, every frame was crafted with care and precision. They crafted detailed characters and environments. The characters were iconic and the environments were rich with detail. They made sure the action was fluid and satisfying. The gameplay mechanics were finely tuned to provide a seamless experience. These guys were the unsung heroes of Streets of Rage. Their hard work and dedication made the game a timeless classic that continues to be celebrated by fans around the world. Let's talk about the heroes of our story. These aren't just any heroes. They're legends in the world of retro gaming. Axel Stone, the tough-talking brawler. With his fists of fury, he takes on anyone who dares to cross his path. He was the all-around badass. His strength and resilience made him a favorite among players. Blaze Fielding, the fiery female fighter. She brought grace and power to the battlefield. She was a force to be reckoned with. Her agility and speed made her a deadly opponent. And Adam Hunter, the cool and collected ex-cop. With his strategic mind, he always had a plan. He was the brains of the operation. His tactical approach often turned the tide of battle. Each character had their own unique fighting style. This diversity kept the gameplay fresh and exciting. Axel was the powerhouse, with his devastating grand upper. This move could clear a path through hordes of enemies. Blaze was all about speed and agility, unleashing lightning-fast kicks. Her quick reflexes made her a blur on the screen. And Adam? He was the technical fighter, relying on his spin attack to take down enemies. His precision was unmatched, but these guys were more than just fighting machines. They had depth, personality, and a story that drew us in. They had a personal stake in this fight. Their city, their home, was under siege. Mr. X's syndicate had taken over their city. The streets were filled with chaos and danger. They were determined to take it back, no matter the cost. Their resolve was unbreakable. We weren't just controlling pixels on a screen, we were stepping into their shoes, feeling their struggles and triumphs. We were controlling these characters. We felt their rage. We shared their determination. Every punch, kick, and special move was a testament to their fight, and we cheered them on as they beat the crap out of every punk, thug, and boss that stood in their way. Their victory was our victory, and it felt oh so sweet. Get ready to rumble. From the grimy back alleys to the neon-lit streets, Streets of Rage took us on a tour of urban decay. Each level was a battleground, filled with Mr. X's goons. We're talking about the iconic first level, the streets. Remember the beat-up cars and burning trash cans? It set the tone perfectly. Then there was the eerie elevator stage. The tension was palpable as we ascended to our destiny. And who could forget the boss battles? Each one was a test of skill and endurance. From the hulking Big Ben to the acrobatic Y signal, these bosses were no joke. They pushed us to our limits. We had to use every move in our arsenal to survive. But it wasn't just about the action. The levels themselves were memorable. They were filled with little details that brought the city to life. Broken windows, flickering lights, rats scurrying in the shadows. It felt real. It felt dangerous. Every good beat-em-up needs a villain, and Streets of Rage had a doozy. Mr. X. This shadowy crime lord was the mastermind behind it all. He controlled the police, he controlled the politicians, he even controlled the ninjas. Why was Mr. X terrorizing the city? Power, of course. He wanted it all, and he wasn't afraid to use violence and intimidation to get it. We only got glimpses of him at first, a shadowy figure in a penthouse office, a distorted voice on the phone, but that just made him more intimidating. We knew he was the final boss. We knew we had to take him down. And then there was his army of thugs. Each one was more bizarre and deadly than the last. We're talking about knife-wielding chefs, fire-breathing ninjas, and those damn big bears. Mr. X had a thing for big guys. The thrill of combat. Let's be honest, the real reason we loved Streets of Rage was the combat. It was pure, unadulterated brawling bliss. We're talking about punches, kicks, throws, and those special moves. Remember the first time you pulled off Axel's grand upper or Blaze's flying kick? It felt amazing. These moves weren't just flashy, they were effective. They cleared the screen of enemies and left us feeling like total badasses. And let's not forget about the weapons. Lead pipes, knives, Molotov cocktails. We used them all. Nothing felt better than cracking a fire hydrant open and sending those punks flying. But it wasn't just about mindless button mashing. There was a strategy to the combat. We had to learn enemy patterns. We had to time our attacks. We had to use the environment to our advantage. Let's talk about the music. Yuzo Koshiro. This guy is a genius. He created a soundtrack that was as iconic as the game itself. It was a fusion of techno, house, and breakbeat. It was like nothing we'd ever heard before. Every track was a banger. From the driving beat of Fighting in the Street to the haunting melody of Dreamer's theme, the music elevated the entire experience. It wasn't just background noise. It was an integral part of the game. We're talking about music that got us pumped up. Music that made us feel like we were right there in the middle of the action. Music that has stood the test of time. To this day, hearing those tracks takes us right back to 1991. A timeless beat-em-up. Streets of Rage wasn't just a game, it was a phenomenon. It spawned sequels. It inspired countless imitators. It cemented its place as one of the greatest beat-em-ups of all time. The impact of Streets of Rage can still be felt today. Games like River City Girls and Fight Turf owe a huge debt to this classic. It set the standard for urban beat-em-ups. It showed us what the genre was capable of, and let's not forget the fans. Streets of Rage still has a dedicated following. People still play it. People still talk about it. People still make music and art inspired by it. Well, there you have it. A nostalgic trip down memory lane. Streets of Rage wasn't just a game. It was an experience. It was a cultural touchstone. It was a reminder of a simpler time when all we needed was 2 gamepads and a couple of friends to have a good time. So, the next time you're feeling nostalgic for the 16-bit era, dust off that Genesis, fire up Streets of Rage, and get ready to kick some punker tramp butt. You won't regret it. Who was your favorite character? Least favorite boss battle? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm the Classic and Retro Gamer. See ya on the streets.